Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. It's one thing to fight over money, but quite another to drag your own brother to court during his wife's funeral. This is the story of an aunt who chose greed over family and lost everything in the process. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. She sued her grieving brother instead of saying goodbye. I just found out the real reason my dad, 87-year-old male, doesn't speak to his sister anymore, and it floored me. She's his last surviving sibling, but after hearing what she pulled, I honestly don't know how she shows her face anywhere. For context, my mom passed away 6 years ago. It wasn't sudden. She fought a long, hard illness, and after 18 brutal weeks in ICU, she was gone. My dad was devastated. They had the kind of marriage you don't see anymore. He was completely devoted, doting, and spent years as her caretaker. Losing her gutted him. Now for the ugly part. When my great-grandfather died decades ago, my dad became the executor of his estate. Among the things passed down was the family cemetery plot. It had been bought back in 1946 when my dad's own father passed. 6 casket plots in total, plus 4 urn plots. Over the years, 4 caskets have been used. My grandfather, great-grandfather, another relative, and heartbreakingly, my aunt's 2-year-old son who died in 1970. The urn plots were earmarked for my mom, my dad, myself, and my husband. The 2 remaining casket plots reserved for my aunt with her husband, so she could be laid to rest with her child one day. When my dad took over as executor, he updated the cemetery records to reflect that he was the steward of the plots. Same name as his grandfather, so it was straightforward. His grandfather had even asked him directly to shepherd the plots so they would always be available to family who needed them. My dad never wavered in that duty. He kept the site maintained for decades. My aunt, she hasn't visited her son's grave since the day he was buried. Fast forward to my mom's passing. We had everything arranged. My dad wanted her laid to rest in one of the urn plots. Out of nowhere, my aunt sent my father a lawyer's letter demanding he turn over ownership of the plots to her. And to twist the knife deeper, she tried to get a court order to stop my mom's burial. Yes, she actually tried to block the funeral of the woman she claimed was her best friend. I'll never forget my dad's face when he got that letter. This is a man who never breaks a promise, who has always been the rock for everyone else, and in the middle of the worst grief of his life, his sister was threatening to drag him through court so she could seize control of the family plot. He told her plainly, "Those plots are yours when the time comes. I've never denied that, but I'm not signing them over. That land isn't yours to take." She wouldn't back down. The legal threats kept coming. She accused him of mismanaging the estate, even though he had every mortgage document, deed, and cemetery record in perfect order. She wanted control, and she wanted it now. But my dad never bent. The burial went ahead. My mom had a beautiful funeral surrounded by friends and family who loved her. The only person missing was my aunt, who thought her court paperwork was more important than paying her respects. The fallout was immediate. Cousins I'd been close with cut me off completely, siding with their mother. One even sent me a message saying, "If your dad weren't so stubborn, none of this would have happened." Stubborn? He was honoring a promise to his grandfather. He was defending his wife's right to rest in peace. What the hell is stubborn about that? The whole ordeal left scars. My dad never spoke to his sister again. He still says, when the time comes, those plots are hers, because he refuses to break his word, even to someone who doesn't deserve it. And when he passes, ownership passes to me. If it weren't for his wishes, I'd make damn sure she never got so much as an inch of that ground without paying through the nose. But out of respect for him, I'll honor his promise, albeit grudgingly. I wish I could say my aunt learned something, but I doubt it. She showed her true colors the moment she decided suing her grieving brother was more important than family, tradition, or basic decency. And me, I'll be the one left holding the paperwork when the time comes. If she ever tries to pull another stunt, I'll have every deed, contract, and cemetery record ready to shove right back in her lawyer's face. For now, though, she's burned her bridge. My dad refuses to even speak her name, and I've blocked every cousin who decided money and greed were more important than respect for the dead. She got her wish. She's alone. And honestly, that's exactly where she belongs. Your dad sounds like the kind of man people don't make anymore. Steady, devoted, and bound by his word. He cared for your mom through her illness, honored his grandfather's request to protect those plots, and still he insists your aunt will have her spot one day, even after the way she betrayed him. And our second story. Apparently, I own too many pens, and that's a security threat now. I work in a transportation facility, which requires me to go through a security checkpoint that inspects bags and such, and you have to go through a metal detector. They require us to remove any electronics or wires from our bags. Since I'm a technician, I carry a laptop and network cables in my bag, plus some small hand tools. I was told I can leave the hand tools in the bag, but the wires and electronics have to be taken out. Fine. So I've been doing this for months. Until yesterday, I go through as usual, unpacking my bag of the required items and putting them in the bin and send it through. I send my bag afterwards. X-Ray says nothing, so I start reloading my bag. This is when X-Ray stops talking to her coworker friends and realizes she has to work. They start going through my bag, pulling out everything I just put back in, telling me this is supposed to come out and go in a bin. I did. You weren't paying attention. X-Ray then proceeds to tell me anything metal has to come out. Everything has to come out. Fine. Today rolls around and the same person is running X-Ray, so I take all my usual stuff out of my bag and put it in a bin. Then I start removing everything from my bag. Tissue pack? Check. Quick wipes? Check. Pens? Check. Candy wrapper from 3 days ago? Check. You get the point. Every single item I pulled from my bag. Meanwhile, X-Ray's getting testy and a line is forming behind me. X-Ray tells me I'm holding up the line. Sorry, you said everything. After my bins and empty bag go through the X-Ray and come out, I begin to repack everything while watching the line behind me. A guy's now doing the same thing I just did, pulling everything from his bag. You did tell that guy everything. I don't want to get in trouble. The next guy behind him started doing it as well. As I set my bag on the floor and began to walk away, I turned to X-Ray and said, "You did say everything. Have a nice day," and left. I think I might go back through after lunch. Clarification, this is a security checkpoint for employees of this transportation facility. It's a private security company and not any government transportation security, though most of them act like they work for the government. I'd dump a large box of paper clips in the bottom of the bag before you head inside. Carelessly remove most of them, ask to see the screen while it's run through the machine, knowing that there are some still floating around in the bag, and then upon seeing them on the screen, take the bag back, remove the rest, and run it back through. And our last story. Bought a house, came with free pool drama and a Karen starter pack. When my husband and I bought our house, we knew it was a foreclosure. That meant no disclosures, no helpful little, "By the way, here's something you should know." It was a fixer-upper, but we were excited. What we weren't prepared for was finding out we had inherited an entire circus across the property line. It started with our neighbor to the right. She's a sweet older lady who's lived here forever. While chatting one evening, she casually said, "You know the people behind me? Their pool isn't even on their land. It's on yours." I laughed, thinking she must be mistaken, but later that night, my husband and I pulled up the county GIS maps online, and there it was. The above-ground pool, every inch of it was smack dab on our property. Not a little overlap, the entire pool. I stared at the screen and said, "So we basically own their summer fun." We texted our realtor immediately. She tried to downplay it. "Those online maps aren't always accurate," she said. "Get a survey, and if there's an easement, you probably can't make them remove it." Her casual tone wasn't helping. An easement doesn't mean they can set up Camp Splash Zone in my backyard. I snapped at my husband after hanging up. What worries me more wasn't the pool itself, it was liability. They had little kids. If one of them got hurt or, God forbid, drowned, we'd be the ones sued. The more we looked, the worse it got. Not only was the pool on our property, but they also had a shed partially over the line too. Not huge, but still our land. And zoning says sheds need to be 5 feet away from the line anyway. We decided to walk the property and check for ourselves. While we were there, the pool owners, let's call them the Karens because the wife absolutely radiates that energy, popped their heads up like meerkats. Karen: "Oh hey, we saw you looking around. Everything okay?" Me: "Yeah, just checking the boundaries. We noticed your pool might actually be on our side." Karen gave this fake laugh, all high-pitched. "Oh no, it's been there forever. The previous owners didn't care. It's basically grandfathered in." My husband deadpanned, "Pretty sure trespassing doesn't get grandfathered." Her smile faltered and she waved us off. "Well, good luck figuring it out." So we did. We hired a surveyor. When the flags went in, the truth was undeniable. Our neighbor's entire backyard fun zone was planted in our land. The shed, the pool, even part of their landscaping. The surveyor muttered to us, "I don't know how this got missed for so long. This is blatant." When Karen saw the surveyor's flags, she marched over like she owned the place. "Karen, you can't just put stakes in my yard." Me, "Your yard? This is our property. We have the survey to prove it." Karen, "Well, we've used it for years. That means it's ours." Me, "That's not how property law works. You can move your pool or we'll fence it in. Your call." Her husband looked like he wanted to sink into the ground, but Karen puffed up like a peacock. "We'll see about that. Our lawyer will handle it." They didn't get a lawyer. Instead, the HOA tried to step in, which was hilarious because our property predates their little subdivision. They sent a letter reminding us that community harmony meant compromise and maybe we could allow the pool to remain for the season. I replied with one line, "My property is not for rent." Then we called a fencing company. The day the fence went up was glorious. The contractors worked fast, installing a tall, sturdy fence that cut clean through where their pool had been sitting. Picture this: one half of their pool inside the fence on our property, the other half stranded in theirs. It looked ridiculous. Karen came storming out, screaming, "You can't do this. You're ruining our kids' summer." I just smiled sweetly. "Not my problem. Maybe next time check a map before building on land you don't own." Her husband muttered something about "never liked the pool anyway" as the crew worked around him. By the end of the day, their shed and pool were cut off. They had no choice but to drain it, dismantle it, and haul it off in pieces. A week later, Karen cornered me in the driveway. "Karen, everyone thinks you're heartless. You could have just let us keep it." Me, "Heartless? No, I'm just not an idiot. You want to gamble with lawsuits and liability? Do it on your own land, not mine." Then I walked away, leaving her red-faced and sputtering. Now our yard is clean, clear, and fully fenced. The shed and pool are gone. Nothing tastes better than victory over a Karen who thought she could steal your land with a smile and a lie. I can picture Karen shrieking about ruining her kid's summer while her husband mutters that he never liked the pool anyway. That's not just a win, that's a monument to standing your ground. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.